Consultancy. Hello, I hope someone might be able to help. It would be really appreciated. I'm trying to get started with online business, nowhere near a fast lane type, more of a stepping stone to move forward. I currently do some work writing resumes, not exciting I know, but, hey, all gotta start somewhere, eh? The thing is, they take a lot of time to get right, and the hourly rate doesn't work out as much as I'd like, so whilst I intend to develop this, I'd like something else where you get a fixed hourly rate. Again, I know that's not at all fast lane, but better I'm at least crawling than standing still like now. Enter my idea of trying to add some other kind of consultancy into the mix. The problem is, I'm not sure what. I don't know if it's my lack of business expertise, or confidence issues, but I'm struggled to figure out what I could do. I hear stories of people offering consultancy for $150 an hour, but they all tend to have computer or technical skills, which I don't. Would anyone happen to have any experience in consulting or know of any resources I could possibly access, to help me try and find ideas? Thanks very much in advance. What do you know how to do that someone would be willing to pay you $150 or hour? Thanks, Patrick. I wonder if that is my very problem. I think I probably don't value my time or self maybe enough. I always find myself wanting to discount my rates for anything I do and I have no idea why. It makes no sense. My background is in careers or recruiting, but I definitely don't want to recruit, so in all honesty I guess I don't have an answer to your question. But, a good focus for me. Thank you. When you say recruit, what do you mean? Believe me, we can find something you can do seriously. Thanks very much. I used to run a division recruiting people for all sorts of jobs, from office to HR managers to oil rig workers. But, mostly I specialized in office or accountancy type roles. I did it for years, and reasonably well, but, despite doing it for years, in all honesty I hated it. So, typical day would be doing a lot of telephone sales, going out to visit client companies to convince them to use your services, then interviewing people to try and match them to roles, that sort of thing. Within that, I guess the thing I liked best or offered most value with was customer service or trying to help people find work. I think that's why I started with the resumes, but, like I say, it takes a lot of time and when you work out the hourly rate it doesn't pay as well as I'd like. I thought of maybe giving advice on resumes, bit of a theme here, I know. But so many companies offer that for free to sell their service, I decided it probably wasn't viable. But the thinking had been you are at least getting paid a fixed rate for your time, a higher rate than I would get in a job. I'm not a qualified career counselor or anything, so I'm struggling a bit on what I could offer. I think it would have to be a very specific service. But maybe I'm not being creative enough and getting too caught up in what I used to do, I don't know. Okay, put yourself in the shoes of a person who really wants or needs the job. Do you think you could tell them stories of people who came into your office and did horrible jobs in interviews? What about telling them stories of people who did amazing jobs in the interview and got the job? Right there is your business. I am happy to help however I can. Feel free to shoot me a PM. I never charge to help people. Why? Because I was helped so much by owners of other companies in the same industry as the business I started. I am now retired and make more money than I ever thought I would. Make a small course which you offer online for download, that way you basically multiple yourself and it can become passive for you. Instead of you having to talk to each person and not sell nearly as many. Makes sense? One thing I thought of, and I'm a bit embarrassed to type this given I'm so bad at ideas or myself, was maybe offering a service to help people come up with or get started with home business ideas. I'm always coming up with ideas for side businesses for family and friends. When I say businesses, I only mean very small-scale enterprises for extra cash, maybe targeted to moms looking for home-based work, or something. Again though, I wasn't sure if there was anything in this or whether it was viable in any way. I just came across so many people in my work who hated their jobs. I thought of something around this, but not sure if I am thinking along the right lines. That sounds like a great idea. Thanks very much. Yes, definitely, I could think of plenty of stories. I really appreciate that. Thanks again. I think I always go toward the advice or consultancy idea as I have some experience with it or it seems more possible. Somehow I have it in my head that writing an ebook or course wouldn't make as much money, but it sounds like I might have that all wrong. Thank you again. Horrible idea to me. Everyone has ideas. You have never run a successful business, so you have no legitimacy. Do you have the info that tens of thousands of people want, which is how to interview and get recruited? To me that is your business. To you it may not be sexy. Well, concrete isn't sexy, dirt isn't sexy, but it has made people millionaires. Do what you think is right for you. Best of luck to you. Congrats on taking the first step and welcome to the forum. Resume building sure sounds like a need with 8.5% unemployment. Realistically your target audience is much higher, probably above 50 million Americans and God knows how many internationally. Why not just give advice for free and create a content-based website? It's completely residual, can help you start a revenue stream, and eventually you can look into creating a product that solves a need. As far as a product goes, that will be tricky with services like Career Builder doing a lot of what you can offer for free. I always though an interactive interview would be kind of cool. You log in, and are given questions that you can either type answers to or maybe select pre-written options and then be graded on your choices. If people score low in a particular section you can have a link to what you could do better and sell products such as ebooks or consultations. Since you've helped them identify their weaknesses, they'll have less consumer anxiety and be enticed to buy from you. Hope this helps in getting the cogs turning. Best of luck. Hi Patrick, I guess, again, I just haven't been valuing the information I do have. To me it has just seemed like information anyone would know, but it sounds like I have to learn about the value of information. I typed the above one before I read your reply, so, no. I would definitely take your advice. No interest in sexy, only interested in trying to learn how to earn, even if it was concrete or dirt. I've been struggling to figure out a route forward, so we'll definitely take your advice. Thank you. Thanks very much for that, much appreciated. I think I fixate on consultancy maybe because it was what I know and it seems more tangible somehow. My thinking has been getting an income stream from it and then develop from there. But it is absolutely possible, more like highly likely. I've got that the wrong way round. Yeah, it's quite a competitive market, but I think you're right, there's definitely a need for that kind of information or services. I like the interview idea too. That sounds a good one. Very helpful, thank you. Trust me, you do have info people want. Think of the guy who can do mad riffs on the guitar. He has been doing it since he was 8 years old, so to him it is nothing. But you and I see him do it and it really is amazing. Or John Jones from the UFC, to him a spinning back fist is second nature by now. To me it is amazing he can knock someone out doing it. To you the recruiting thing is easy and you don't value it. To a guy who has just spent $100K for a 4-year degree and cannot get a job because he is horrible in the interview, your info is almost priceless, as it is the key for him to get a job. Gonna print this out and try and drum it into my head. Thanks again. I second Patrick's idea for you. You might check out the 5 o'clock Club website to see how their service works to teach how to interview, etc. Thought it might give you some ideas of what you could offer. I used that service back in the early 90s and I see they are still around in spite of all the newer job search websites. So they must be doing something right to generate business. Maybe you could interview someone at that company and learn more about their business model. There is also another side of the story. Companies or business owners. When you look at the numbers, you'd think with this unemployment rate, I'm gonna get great people on the cheap. That's exactly what a friend of mine thought. He opened a restaurant and he didn't worry about getting a chef, since statistically there are many signed up at job agencies etc. Fast forward a couple of months and he's been through so many chefs it's crazy. Some apparently didn't even know to cook. One was really great, but on his bad days he was capable of serving almost raw fish. The number of guests halved and my friend is in serious trouble. One of the issues is that probably does not apply to your market. That is so hard to fire somebody around here that it's crazy. You can get sued and pay back damages, for example to that raw fish serving guy, for firing him. What I'm saying here is that the value of a good human resource is very high to a business owner, because the total loss of having a bad resource is so high it's crazy. So you can charge much more to business owners to solve their problems compared to people, when you just solve their I don't have a job problem. A while back when I was between jobs I found a guru online, Ramit Sethi, who did a webinar on resume building, interviewing, etc. He had a guest on the webinar from some place that helps job seekers. I was blown away by the content being presented. I had no idea. I had rewritten my resume a million times, but after that webinar I tore it to pieces, rebuilt it to spec and felt seriously proud of the job hunting tool I now had. Most people have no idea how to properly build a resume or look for a job. Have you ever hunted online for best resume or how to write a great resume or how to interview? The results suck. It's the same bad info tossed in every blog on the net. Really useless. Terrible advice floating out there. Bottom line, people need this kind of information. What's great is if you help someone who is down and out get a job, you can be 100% certain they will point every unemployed friend in your direction. Another idea point, ever consider tutoring people on how to ask for a raise or negotiate a starting salary? That same guru from the webinar had information on his site on how to specifically ask for a raise. I used what I read to coach my wife to ask for a raise, and within 2 months she had 2 raises and a promotion. She went from overworked, underpaid cubicle jockey to getting her own office, an entry-level management position and a total of $7,000 more per year. $7,000. How much could you charge for info worth $7,000 per year for a single moment's work? Slow lane coaching is huge. People have no clue how to manage their work lives. They go for the 1.5% yearly raise. They passively apply to open positions when they become available. They use MS Word resume templates with all the wrong content. They have no idea. If you have this info, you have a gold mine on your hands. Thanks, that's great. I had never heard of the 5 o'clock club, just checking them out right now. That's great. And, again, I hadn't thought to possibly interview anyone about their business to help me along, but another good idea for the list. Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, it can be really tough to recruit, especially in certain industries. To be honest, I'm trying to move more away from recruiting, partially because of job satisfaction and also, starting out, it can be more challenging to meet the needs to companies. What with expectations for phone calls, client visits etc. That said, as you say, maybe there could be a market to sell information. Again, I always think from the perspective of larger companies, but maybe I should think more about smaller companies and the potential there. Thanks for that. Thanks very much, that's really helpful. Like I say, I guess I undervalue the information I have or assume everyone knows it. Or maybe it is also a confidence thing. Either way, gonna have to learn a new way of thinking. Definitely, I am always shocked at the resumes I see, really. I guess it's that thing of people being really good at their jobs, and just not being a specialist at resumes. Why would they be? The resume really makes the biggest difference getting in the door, but there are so many companies out there now who do it cheaply, it can be difficult to make it pay. That's why I was thinking of doing something for a fixed hourly rate. At least then I'd be getting a fixed amount for my time, rather than spending 6 hours on something I only get one not that high an amount for. I had thought, resume advice. A quick consultancy session to review your resume and provide advice on how to improve it. So, rather than me writing them and spending hours, offering a 30 minutes or 1 hour coaching call providing advice. I still think there could be something in it, but I just worried about competing against all the places that offer a free resume review to sell their services. Although, if I could brand it or sell it properly, I think there could be a little side gig in there. Yeah, my plan had been to try and figure out some kind of coaching or consultancy for incoming cash, then I could look at developing the more passive income streams too. Wow, that's really impressive on your wife. I'd never thought of that. I considered maybe interview coaching, as I know places do that along with the resumes, but I went more towards the resumes as I had been doing that and know for sure I can help there. I can honestly say I'd never thought of this sort of information as a gold mine, but your post has definitely helped me think again. Thanks very much, much appreciated. On the coaching or consultancy, I could have 2 or 3 sites up within a couple of weeks really, so I guess that's why I had been thinking of this route first. I suppose it is like anything though, figuring out a clear niche and some kind of competitive advantage, plus picking the area where you can most add value or earn. Having worked as an IT contractor for many years, I always thought there was good money in providing contract employees to companies. Company needs resources to help with their project. They go to company B for them. Company B provides the resources for a 30% premium. I believe that is the average. Collect 30% for time of contract. Now, if company A really likes a resource, they need to buy them out the contract from company B, which has happened to me in the past. The higher hourly rates provide bigger profits. Cisco certified people can demand $80 or hour. Where I work, I have heard of techs turning down $100 or hour. Nursing is another area where demand is much higher than demand. How much do you charge for writing a resume for somebody? Now, honestly, I think the market does not care how you feel about recruiting. That is where the money is. And you can do it from home, by phone and with an internet connection. This is my polite way of saying, don't want to be rude to a new forum member as a recruiter. How much do you charge? This is exactly what I have to do all the time. You only missed a part. You retain the stars. Come on people, do you even grasp the concept of finding talent? I will hire great people once I find them. I keep hearing the bullshit about unemployment, people suffering, blah blah blah. I want to replace 4 or 5 in my staff with somebody moderately competent. Guess what? Can't find them at a reasonable price. Talent rises to the top, and charges big bucks. And now that we are talking about it, this is a real example of what I will be doing tomorrow. If or when I find somebody like this, I should be able to make a decent profit right there. I may disclose some real numbers in the insiders section. How much would you charge to find somebody like this? There are openings like this all the time and not enough good recruiters for this. Here is the secret recipe. Do not recruit for others. Incorporate. Find the people. Hire them. Contract them out to others. Bill your client. Pay your recruit. Pocket the difference. But, as you don't like this, I guess it does not make too much sense to tell you more. Yeah, absolutely, there's definitely money in it, no doubt, and nursing ones do very well. That's right, 30% around the margin. I totally take your point, there's definitely money in recruiting. But, it's just not for me. I'm thinking, unless you can really commit to a business or can give it your all, it wouldn't matter how much money was in it, you wouldn't be that likely to succeed. So, I'm trying to find somewhere where I can both add value, and, realistically, feel confident I can sustain it. I think it depends on your market. Some of my clients in the past, let's just say they could be pretty demanding in expectations, and, actually, a lot of them can't or won't deal with smaller setups. But, yes, you are totally right. There are some industries where you can get going with just a phone and some terms of business. A resume $150 minus $200. A fee on a placement permanent 20% of salary. Big differential. That's your point, I know. But, there is also a big difference in workload, huge. Placements, as you will know, is contingency, so you do all the work for no guarantee of a placement. Truthfully, recruiting is so competitive you really have to have your heart in it to make money. It is still considered a very tougher profession. Cutthroat, I think, is how they describe it. Like I say, I totally take your point, but I'm also trying to find that bridge between value and something I will give my all to. And I think if you know deep down you hate something, it's unlikely to work from a business point of view, I wouldn't think. Thanks. No, I really appreciate your input. I just wouldn't want to be telling you something that isn't true for me. I really don't feel I could add value here, because I really hated doing it. Plus, absolutely honestly, it really can be a tough industry to make money. It's not quite as simple as it can sometimes appear, as I'm sure any recruiter would say. But, thankfully, there are a whole range of business types out there, and rather than move toward something I know isn't for me, I really want to try and focus my efforts where I'll be motivated and ready to give it 100%. That's all. I know the market might not care about how I feel about recruiting, totally take your point again, but I think how I feel about it would impact on my potential for success. Like I say, I really do appreciate your input, and hope you know what I'm trying to say. Thanks very much. Have you read the Fast Lane to Millions book? Yes, sure. Or is this a different one? Sorry if I should know this. The same one. The reason I ask is because your comments sound a lot like I will do what I want and want to get paid big time for it, instead of what the book explains, more in the area of do what the market asks, based on needs. But I see you understand the point. I will leave it at that and allow others to continue working with you on finding value in what you like. I really like Patrick's advice. That is a real need. I know big resume writing companies charge $300 and $400 to help you with your resume, and it all in reality is a template, and a tech writer spends an hour or two plug in your old resume in this template. If you do better than this, at $200 a piece, you should have lots and lots of customer paying you to help you with your short-term needs. How much time, on average, you spend on each resume? Oh, I'm really sorry if I've come across that way. That's, genuinely, not me at all. So apologies if I've come across like that. I don't know how I managed that. It absolutely wasn't my intention. I honestly don't have any major expectations or expect anything handed to me on a plate. I'm not quite sure what I said to indicate otherwise, but, again, that's definitely not me in general, so I apologize if I've written the wrong thing or come across like that. No, I just don't want to be telling you lies. There's more than one business out there, so why try and force yourself to do something you know you won't have your heart in, when you could find something that fills a market need but that will also be something you can commit to and give your all. That's all I'm saying. Better to focus on an area the market needs but that you don't have negative feelings around. At least, for me that is true. It's like deliberately finding something you won't be motivated to do, that just doesn't make sense to me, that's all. Not just from a personal perspective, but a business one. It's not just about like, but I do think something you have your heart in is more likely to be a successful. All I can say, for me, I genuinely feel to pursue a business that I would hate, when there are market needs in other areas and industries, wouldn't feel like a good move. Yes, thank you for that. I tend to come across the ones that charge $50 and $100, so I'll try and remind myself of all the higher charging ones when I think of pricing. Thank you for your input. It can vary, sometimes it can be 2 hours, sometimes 6. That's why I was thinking more assume advice, but I wasn't sure if there was a market for advice alone. I'm definitely, 100% going to take Patrick's advice. I'm just looking for some other kinds of income whilst I'm working on that, as I imagine it might take me some time to do that, especially when I haven't created or written anything like that before. I don't know that I can help you with ideas of what type of consulting to offer, but I might be able to offer some ideas regarding determining your hourly rate once you figure out what type of service you want to offer. There's actually a bit of a science to the determination of the hourly rate. Coincidentally, the $150 rate that you threw out just so happens to be my actual billing rate for the consulting work that I'm currently semi-retired from, but in which I still occasionally engage. In negotiating this rate with the consulting company to which I provide my consulting services, we started off with what my annual salary would be if I were to be an in-house consultant. That number was $150,000. We then added 25% in benefits and overhead allocation, and added another 20% on top of that as an independent contractor premium, i.e. someone that's called upon on an as-needed basis should get a higher hourly rate than a regular employee that's guaranteed a certain annual pay. Similar idea to how if you order smaller batches from suppliers on Alibaba, the more expensive the price per unit would be. So $150,000 x 1.25 by 1.2 equals $225,000 per year. We estimated that a typical consultant in this line of business would be about 75% billable, so if the total work hours was 2,000 hours per year, billable hours would be 1,500. $225,000 divided by 1,500 hours came to $150 per hour. So in your situation, one way to help determine and negotiate your hourly rate is to research what your annual salary would be if you were to do similar work as a full-time employee somewhere, and then add benefits and premiums and divide the resulting annual dollar amount by estimated annual hours worked. That should get you in the right ballpark. And if your clients ever ask you for justification of your rate, you'll have some proper analysis to back it up. Thanks, Lyoto, that's really helpful, thanks. Yes, I definitely think I could benefit from a more considered approach to pricing. I think I consistently undercharge confidence in myself, I think, and I always find myself wanting to discount. Sometimes even when clients have asked me about different services I find myself pushing the cheaper one, no idea why. So I will definitely take that on board and, hopefully, if I do it like that I will be more liable to stick to it and be firm. Thank you. It's totally okay to offer discounts, especially when you want to get new clients that aren't yet sure of the quality of your work. The best way to do this is to maintain that your standard hourly rate is $X, but indicate in your engagement letter or whatever contract format you use and your invoices that you are offering a professional courtesy discount. If they end up liking you, you'll get repeat business, at which point you can revert to your original price, and they'd be happy to pay once they trust you. What you don't want to do is make it look like the discounted price is your standard price. Great plan, I will definitely do that from now on. Thanks very much. I pass the others. To know about this one. I don't think this applies to this demographics. How many clients have come back to you later for another resume or consultancy? If you are effective, then I should not have to come back to you as your job was perfect. I found my new job, I don't need you for the next few years. You shouldn't have repeat business in this industry. This is a problem from the perspective of recurrent income or lack of. Google is your friend. There are different levels of clearance. But basically, no criminal record, no blemishes in your credit report if the level of clearance deals with personally identifiable information or other data that could be sold, or access to certain types of facilities, personal and professional references that can be verified, and they do interview these people. Through background check. Great example of this. Today's AppSumo deal, see the points with this? Solves a huge need for businesses. Passive money back, guaranteed low price. So any business owner will pay $69 for it without thinking. I'd pay $99 without blinking for a system like this that works. I am buying it to study what they say and see what I can learn. Separate time from money. Nearly everything you are describing would require you to physically be present and do something. Much like a bricklayer, when you are laying bricks you are getting paid. When you stop laying bricks, you stop getting paid. Whatever you create here needs to live separately from time constraints so that you can separate your time from your income. Thank you. Yes, I know that's the wrong thing long term, but I was looking at it as a starter to try and move me forward. Get some cash coming in a way that takes up less time than a full-time job, with the next step looking at other forms of income. But, to be honest, I'm not sure what I should do now. But definitely understand that time for money isn't the way forward for future. Like I say, I was thinking of consultancy as something I could do right now, rather than a job, but we'll go back to the drawing board and think again. Thanks very much. Begin with the end in mind, Stephen Covey. Thanks very much for this. Definitely, absolutely see the point, and, yeah, they have some great products at AppSumo. Again, I've just been looking at consultancy as a first step, as a way to get income rather than a job, with the idea of it taking less time. But maybe I should be rethinking that. The idea was start something immediate, with less hours than a full-time job, but I don't know whether that's right or wrong now. We'll think some more on it. I am definitely going to work on a passive product too, for future though. Thank you. Actually, I got the email from the guy who wrote that course at AppSumo, always really useful tips, especially on things like copywriting. And he comes across as a really likable guy too. My areas of expertise aren't so much with small businesses, but that shouldn't matter, especially if I work on something for job seekers. Hope the course is good for you. I imagine it will be. The quality standards seem pretty high.